Hello, beautiful soul. Take a deep breath with me right now. Let that breath flow all the way down into your belly, and as you exhale, allow your shoulders to soften. You found your way here today, and that's no accident. There's something stirring within you, something that knows there's a different way to move through this world, a way that doesn't require you to shout from the rooftops or constantly prove your worth to others. You're here because your soul is calling you toward a deeper understanding of success, one that comes not from external noise, but from the quiet power that lives within you. I want you to know that wherever you are right now in your life, whatever challenges you're facing, whatever dreams you're holding close to your heart, you are exactly where you need to be. Your journey has brought you to this moment, and this moment is sacred. So often we rush through life, always reaching for the next thing, the next achievement, the next level of recognition. But today, we're going to explore something different. We're going to discover the profound power that exists in stillness, in silence, and in allowing your energy to speak louder than any words ever could. You know, there's something magical that happens when we stop trying so hard to be seen and start focusing on being authentic. When we release the need to announce every step we take and instead trust that our actions, our presence, our very being is enough. This isn't about hiding or playing small. This is about stepping into a kind of confidence that runs so deep, it doesn't need external validation to survive. It's about understanding that true success isn't measured by how loudly you can proclaim your achievements, but by how aligned you are with your authentic self. Your energy speaks before you even open your mouth. It announces your presence before you walk into a room. It communicates your truth before you say a single word. And when you learn to honor this energy, to cultivate it, to let it be your guide, something extraordinary happens. You begin to attract experiences, people, and opportunities that match your authentic vibration. You stop pushing and start flowing. You stop proving and start being. The world we live in often tells us that success is loud, that achievement must be celebrated publicly, that our worth is measured by likes, shares, and public recognition. But what if I told you that some of the most successful, most fulfilled people in the world operate from a place of quiet confidence? What if the secret to lasting success isn't in making noise, but in making peace with who you are at your core? This journey we're taking together today is about coming home to yourself. It's about discovering that you don't need to explain yourself to anyone, defend your choices, or seek permission to be who you are. Your energy, when it's aligned and authentic, becomes your greatest success tool. It opens doors that force never could. It creates connections that manipulation never would. It attracts abundance that desperation only pushes away. Success that comes from silence isn't about being quiet for the sake of being quiet. It's not about suppressing your voice or diminishing your light. It's about finding such deep trust in yourself, such unshakable knowing of your worth, that you no longer need the world to validate what you already know to be true. It's about operating from a place of such inner fullness that you're not constantly seeking to fill yourself up with external praise or recognition. When we succeed in silence, we're actually succeeding in the deepest possible way. We're aligning with our authentic self, our higher purpose, our truest expression. We're no longer performing for an audience, but living from our heart. We're no longer seeking approval, but giving approval to ourselves. We're no longer trying to prove we belong, but knowing that we belong simply because we exist. Think about the most peaceful, centered people you've ever encountered. There's something about their presence that speaks volumes without them having to say much at all. They carry themselves with a quiet dignity, a gentle strength, a knowing that runs deeper than surface accomplishments. Their energy draws you in, makes you feel safe, makes you want to be in their presence. This isn't because they're performing or trying to impress you. It's because they've made peace with themselves, and that peace becomes their power. This kind of success, this energetic success, changes everything. It changes how you move through the world, how you make decisions, how you relate to others, how you handle challenges, and how you celebrate victories. It gives you access to a wellspring of strength that doesn't depend on external circumstances. It connects you to a source of wisdom that doesn't need outside confirmation. You see, when we understand that our energy speaks, we begin to pay attention to what it's saying. We become conscious of the vibration we're putting out into the world. We start to notice how our internal state affects not just how we feel, but how others respond to us, what opportunities come our way, and what kind of life we create for ourselves. This awareness becomes the foundation for authentic success, the kind that satisfies our soul, not just our ego. The path of succeeding in silence isn't always easy, especially in a world that often rewards the loudest voice in the room. It requires us to trust in something that can't always be measured or quantified. It asks us to have faith in our inner knowing, even when others might not understand our choices. It invites us to find validation from within, rather than seeking it from without. But when we walk this path, when we learn to let our energy speak, we discover a kind of freedom that changes everything. Now let's explore what it really means to succeed in silence. This concept goes far deeper than simply being quiet about your achievements or keeping your goals to yourself. True silent success is about developing such a strong connection to your authentic self that you no longer need external noise to feel worthy or accomplished. It's about cultivating an inner knowing that's so solid, so unshakable, that it doesn't matter who sees your progress or acknowledges your growth. Silent success is the success of the gardener who tends their garden not for the admiration of passers-by, but for the joy of watching life flourish under their care. It's the success of the artist who creates not for gallery showings, but because creation itself feeds their soul. It's the success of the parent who loves not for recognition, but because love is their natural expression. This kind of success is deeply personal, deeply meaningful, and deeply satisfying in ways that external recognition could never be. But let's be clear about something important. Succeeding in silence doesn't mean you should never share your achievements or celebrate your victories. It doesn't mean you should hide your light or pretend you haven't accomplished amazing things. What it means is that your sense of worth and success isn't dependent on sharing these things or receiving validation for them. It means you could accomplish something wonderful and feel completely fulfilled even if no one else ever knew about it. There's a profound difference between quiet confidence and hiding. Quiet confidence comes from a place of fullness, of knowing, of deep self-acceptance. Hiding comes from fear, from shame, from a belief that you're not worthy of being seen. When you succeed in silence from a place of quiet confidence, you're not hiding anything. You're simply not needing to broadcast everything. You're comfortable with your accomplishments speaking for themselves through the quality of your work, the integrity of your character, and the authenticity of your presence. Society often misunderstands this approach because we live in a culture that equates visibility with value, noise with importance, and self-promotion with success. We're taught that if you're not talking about what you're doing, you must not be doing anything significant. We're conditioned to believe that achievements don't count unless they're acknowledged by others. But this conditioning keeps us trapped in a cycle of seeking external validation that can never truly satisfy us. The truth is that some of the most meaningful work, the most important growth, the most significant transformations happen in the quiet spaces of our lives. They happen in the private moments when we choose love over fear, when we extend forgiveness to ourselves, when we take small steps toward our dreams even when no one is watching. They happen when we practice kindness without expecting credit, when we do the right thing without expecting recognition, when we grow and heal and become more of who we're meant to be simply because it feels aligned with our soul. When you learn to succeed in silence, you develop what I like to call an internal success system. Instead of measuring your worth by external metrics like how many people liked your post, how much money you made this month, or how impressed others seem with your achievements, you measure your success by internal metrics. You ask yourself questions like, am I living in alignment with my values? Am I growing into the person I want to become? Am I contributing something meaningful to the world? Am I treating myself and others with love and respect? Am I following my authentic path even when it's challenging? This internal success system becomes your compass, guiding you toward choices and actions that truly serve your highest good. It helps you stay connected to what matters most to you rather than getting caught up in what matters most to others. It keeps you grounded in your own truth rather than swayed by every opinion or trend that comes your way. Silent success also teaches us the power of consistency over intensity. Instead of making grand gestures or dramatic announcements, you learn to show up steadily, day after day, doing the work that needs to be done. You understand that real change, real growth, real success is usually the result of small, consistent actions taken over time. Like water slowly carving a path through stone, your quiet, consistent efforts create profound transformations that are far more lasting than any flashy one-time achievement. The beauty of this approach is that it's sustainable. When your success doesn't depend on external validation, you're not constantly drained by the need to maintain an image or keep up appearances. You're not exhausted by the pressure to always be on or always have something impressive to share. Instead, you can focus your energy on the actual work of living, growing, and creating. You can pour yourself into what truly matters without worrying about whether others will notice or approve. Your energy is the most powerful communication tool you possess. It speaks before you say a word, influences every interaction you have, and shapes the reality you experience. Understanding this truth changes everything about how you approach success, relationships, and life itself. Your energy carries information about who you are, what you believe, how you feel about yourself, and what you're available to receive. People sense this information, often unconsciously, and respond to it in ways that either support or challenge your goals and dreams. When your energy is aligned with love, confidence, and authentic self-expression, it acts like a magnet for experiences that match those qualities. When your energy is clouded by fear, doubt, or the need to prove yourself, it attracts experiences that reflect those states back to you. This isn't about positive thinking or pretending to feel good when you don't. It's about doing the inner work necessary to genuinely shift your energetic state from places of lack and fear to places of abundance and love. Your energy speaks through your presence, your posture, your tone of voice, your facial expressions, and countless other subtle cues that others pick up on. But more than that, it speaks through the quality of attention you bring to each moment, the level of presence you offer in your interactions, and the degree of authenticity you're willing to embody. When you're truly present, truly yourself, truly at peace with who you are, people feel it, they're drawn to it, they trust it. This is why some people can walk into a room and immediately command respect and attention without saying anything, while others can talk for hours and struggle to be heard. It's not about charisma in the traditional sense. It's about energetic alignment. It's about the coherence between who you are on the inside and how you show up on the outside. When these two aspects of yourself are in harmony, your energy becomes clear, powerful, and magnetic. The mind-body connection plays a crucial role in this energetic communication. Your thoughts create feelings in your body, and your body responds by generating an energetic signature that others can sense. When you think loving thoughts about yourself, your body relaxes, your posture opens, your breathing deepens, and you emanate an energy of self-acceptance that feels safe and inviting to others. When you think critical or fearful thoughts about yourself, your body contracts, your posture closes, your breathing becomes shallow, and you emanate an energy of tension that can make others feel uncomfortable or distant. This is why the work of healing our relationship with ourselves is so important. Every critical thought we think about ourselves doesn't just hurt us internally, it also affects how we show up in the world and how others respond to us. Every loving thought we think about ourselves doesn't just help us feel better, it also improves the quality of our presence and our ability to connect authentically with others. Your energy also carries information about your boundaries, your availability, and your level of self-respect. When you have healthy boundaries and treat yourself with respect, others sense this and tend to treat you with respect as well. When you have poor boundaries or don't value yourself highly, others often pick up on this energy and may treat you accordingly. This isn't their fault or yours, it's simply how energy works. We teach people how to treat us, not just through our words and actions, but through the energetic information we broadcast about our own self-worth. Understanding this principle empowers you to take responsibility for the energy you bring to every situation. Instead of focusing on trying to control how others treat you, you can focus on cultivating the kind of energy that naturally invites respectful, loving treatment. Instead of trying to manipulate outcomes, you can focus on aligning your energy with what you want to experience. This doesn't mean you're responsible for other people's behavior or that you should blame yourself if someone treats you poorly. It simply means that you have more power than you might realize to influence the quality of your interactions and experiences through the energy you cultivate and express. When you take care of your energetic state, when you do the work to heal old wounds and limiting beliefs, when you practice treating yourself with love and respect, you naturally begin to attract and experience more love and respect from the world around you. Your energy also speaks to the universe itself, sending out signals about what you're ready to receive and what you believe you deserve. When your energy is aligned with abundance, gratitude, and worthiness, you send out a signal that you're open to receiving good things. When your energy is aligned with scarcity, complaint, and unworthiness, you send out a signal that matches those beliefs. The universe, always responding to our energetic state, reflects back experiences that match what we're broadcasting. This is why people who succeed in silence often seem to effortlessly attract opportunities, connections, and resources. They're not working harder than everyone else or using secret techniques. They've simply aligned their energy with success by doing the inner work necessary to genuinely believe in their worth and their dreams. Their energy speaks this belief into every room they enter, every conversation they have, and every decision they make. The need for external validation is one of the deepest wounds most of us carry, and it's also one of the greatest barriers to succeeding in silence. From the time we're small children, we're conditioned to look outside ourselves for confirmation that we're good enough, smart enough, worthy enough. We learn to measure our value by the reactions we get from parents, teachers, friends, and eventually bosses, partners, and society at large. This pattern becomes so ingrained that many of us don't even realize how much of our energy goes into seeking approval from others. Breaking free from this cycle isn't about becoming indifferent to what others think or cutting yourself off from meaningful feedback. It's about developing such a strong relationship with yourself that other people's opinions become just one piece of information among many, rather than the determining factor in how you feel about yourself. It's about learning to give yourself the approval you've been seeking from others. The approval-seeking cycle is exhausting because it never ends. There's always another person whose opinion might matter, another achievement that might finally prove your worth, another milestone that might earn you the recognition you crave. But here's what I've learned after years of working with people on their healing journeys. External validation is like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much you pour in, it never stays full. The only way to feel truly satisfied is to repair the hole by learning to validate yourself. This doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't mean you should dismiss all feedback or never feel pleased when others acknowledge your efforts. What it means is that you develop an internal foundation of self-worth that doesn't crumble when someone disagrees with you, doesn't love what you've created, or doesn't give you the recognition you hoped for. You learn to appreciate external validation when it comes, but you don't need it to feel good about yourself or your work. The wounds that create our need to prove ourselves often go back to childhood experiences where we learned that love and acceptance were conditional on our performance. Maybe you were praised when you got good grades but ignored when you struggled. Maybe you received attention when you were helpful but were overlooked when you needed help yourself. Maybe you were celebrated when you achieved but criticized when you failed. These early experiences taught you that your worth was tied to what you did rather than who you were. Healing these wounds requires us to become the loving parent to ourselves that we needed when we were young. It means learning to offer yourself unconditional love and acceptance, regardless of your achievements or failures. It means celebrating your efforts, not just your outcomes. It means being gentle with yourself when you make mistakes, rather than using them as evidence that you're not good enough. One of the most powerful things you can do to break free from the need for external validation is to start paying attention to your internal dialogue. Notice how often you judge yourself, how quickly you dismiss your accomplishments, how harshly you speak to yourself when things don't go as planned. This awareness is the first step toward change. You cannot heal what you're not willing to see. When you catch yourself seeking validation from others, pause and ask yourself what you really need in that moment. Are you looking for reassurance about a decision you're making? Are you hoping for recognition of your hard work? Are you seeking connection and understanding? Once you identify the underlying need, you can explore ways to meet that need yourself or ask for support in more direct ways. Learning to validate yourself is a practice that gets stronger over time. Start small. Acknowledge your efforts at the end of each day, even if the results weren't what you hoped for. Celebrate small victories, even if no one else notices them. Speak to yourself with the same kindness you would offer a good friend. Thank yourself for showing up, for trying, for caring enough to keep going even when things are difficult. Finding worth from within is like developing a muscle that's been weak from lack of use. At first, it might feel awkward or unfamiliar to praise yourself or acknowledge your own growth. You might hear inner voices telling you that self-validation is selfish or arrogant. These voices are just echoes of old programming. With patience and practice, you can learn to trust your own opinion of yourself and use it as your primary source of self-worth. The freedom that comes from releasing the need for external validation is extraordinary. When you're no longer constantly worried about what others think, you have so much more energy available for actually living your life. You can take risks without needing guarantees that others will approve. You can express yourself authentically without editing everything through the filter of how it will be received. You can make choices based on what feels right to you rather than what you think will impress others. This freedom also allows you to form more genuine relationships. When you're not seeking validation from others, you can connect with them from a place of fullness rather than need. You can appreciate them for who they are rather than for what they can give you. You can offer your authentic self rather than a version of yourself designed to gain approval. Stillness is one of our greatest teachers, yet it's often the thing we avoid most in our busy, noise-filled world. We've been conditioned to believe that constant activity equals productivity, that being busy means being important, that stillness is somehow wasteful or lazy. But the truth is that stillness is where our real power lives. It's in the quiet moments that we connect with our authentic self, access our inner wisdom, and cultivate the kind of presence that speaks louder than any words. Cultivating inner strength through stillness isn't about sitting in meditation for hours a day, though meditation can certainly be part of it. It's about learning to be comfortable with yourself when there's nowhere to hide, nothing to do, no distractions to occupy your mind. It's about finding peace in your own company and discovering that you are enough exactly as you are, without needing to constantly prove it through action. The power of quiet moments lies in their ability to connect us with what's real and true in our lives. When we're constantly moving, constantly doing, constantly consuming information or entertainment, we can lose touch with our inner voice. We can become so focused on external demands and expectations that we forget to check in with our own needs, desires, and intuition. Stillness creates space for this inner voice to emerge and be heard. In stillness, we can feel the difference between actions that come from anxiety and actions that come from love. We can sense whether we're moving toward something because it truly calls to us or because we think we should. We can distinguish between the voice of our authentic self and the voices of conditioning, fear, or other people's expectations. This discernment is crucial for anyone who wants to succeed in alignment with their truth rather than in contradiction to it. Building confidence that doesn't need to announce itself is one of the most beautiful gifts of stillness practice. When you spend time in quiet reflection, you begin to know yourself at deeper and deeper levels. You discover strengths you didn't know you had, wisdom you didn't realize you possessed, resilience you didn't know was available to you. This self-knowledge becomes the foundation of unshakable confidence because it's based on actual experience of who you are, not on theories or hopes about who you might be. This kind of confidence is quiet because it doesn't need to prove itself. It's like a deep river that flows steadily and powerfully without making much noise, versus a shallow stream that bubbles and chatters as it moves over rocks. The deep river doesn't need to announce its presence because its power is evident in its very being. Similarly, when your confidence comes from deep self-knowledge and self-acceptance, it doesn't need external validation or constant reinforcement. Creating space for authentic self-expression is another gift of stillness. When we're always busy, always responding to external demands, always focused on what others need from us, we can lose touch with our own creative impulses and authentic desires. Stillness gives us permission to just be, without any agenda or goal other than being present with ourselves. In this space, our authentic self has room to emerge and express itself. This might look like suddenly knowing what you want to write, or feeling inspired to create something beautiful, or having clarity about a decision you've been struggling with. It might be as simple as feeling a sense of peace and contentment that doesn't depend on any external circumstances. These moments of authentic self-expression don't need to be shared or validated by others to be meaningful. They're valuable simply because they connect you with your truth. The practice of stillness also teaches us that we don't need to fill every moment with activity or stimulation to feel worthy or important. We can be valuable and significant simply by existing, simply by being present, simply by offering our authentic energy to the world, This understanding helps us release the compulsive need to always be producing, achieving, or proving ourselves. Regular stillness practice might involve setting aside time each day to sit quietly without any agenda, taking walks in nature without listening to music or podcasts, or simply pausing between activities to take a few conscious breaths. It might mean choosing to stay home sometimes instead of filling every weekend with social activities, or turning off devices for periods of time to create space for inner reflection. The goal isn't to become a hermit or to avoid all activity, but rather to balance doing with being, external focus with internal awareness, noise with quiet. When you have this balance, your actions become more intentional and effective because they're coming from a place of clarity rather than compulsion. Your relationships become more authentic because you're bringing your whole self to them rather than just the parts of yourself that you think others want to see. Self-doubt is perhaps the greatest enemy of succeeding in silence because it creates an internal noise that drowns out our natural confidence and wisdom. That critical voice in our head that questions every decision, minimizes every achievement, and predicts failure at every turn becomes so loud that we can't hear our own truth. Learning to transform this self-doubt into self-trust is essential for anyone who wants to follow their authentic path without needing constant external reassurance. The inner critic that demands external proof is often trying to protect us from disappointment, rejection, or failure. It thinks that if we don't trust ourselves, if we always seek validation from others, if we never take risks or claim our power, we'll be safe from hurt. But this protective strategy actually creates more suffering than it prevents because it keeps us small, keeps us disconnected from our authentic self, and keeps us dependent on others for our sense of worth. Working through this inner critic requires us to understand that its voice is not our voice, its fears are not necessarily realistic, and its protection is not serving our highest good. We can learn to hear it without automatically believing it, to thank it for trying to keep us safe while choosing to act from courage rather than fear. This doesn't mean ignoring real risks or making foolish decisions, but rather learning to distinguish between realistic caution and limiting self-doubt. Building unshakable faith in your own path is a gradual process that happens through small acts of self-trust. Each time you follow your intuition and it leads you well, your trust in yourself grows a little stronger. Each time you make a decision based on your inner knowing rather than others' opinions and it works out, you build evidence that you can trust yourself. Each time you treat yourself with kindness and respect, you strengthen your relationship with yourself. This faith isn't about believing you'll never make mistakes or that everything will always work out exactly as you hope. It's about trusting that you have the wisdom to navigate whatever comes, the resilience to recover from setbacks, and the ability to learn and grow from every experience. It's about knowing that even if you make what seems like a mistake, you can handle the consequences and use the experience to become wiser and stronger. Developing self-trust also means learning to honor your own timeline and process rather than comparing yourself to others or trying to meet external expectations about how quickly you should grow or achieve. Your path is unique, your timing is your own, and your way of doing things may look different from what others expect or recommend. Trusting yourself means believing that your way is valid, even if it's not the conventional way. One practical exercise for building self-trust is to start making small decisions based on your inner guidance rather than external input. This might be as simple as choosing what to eat based on what your body wants rather than what you think you should eat, or deciding how to spend your free time based on what feels nurturing to you rather than what others suggest. As you practice listening to and following your inner guidance in small ways, you build confidence to trust it in bigger ways. Another powerful practice is to keep a record of times when trusting yourself led to positive outcomes. Often we focus so much on our mistakes that we forget all the times our intuition was right, our decisions were wise, our choices led us exactly where we needed to go. By acknowledging and celebrating these successes, we build evidence for our own trustworthiness. Learning to distinguish between the voice of fear and the voice of intuition is crucial for developing self-trust. Fear tends to be loud, urgent, repetitive, and focused on worst-case scenarios. Intuition tends to be quiet, calm, clear, and focused on what's possible or what feels right. Fear often uses words like should, have to, must, and can't. Intuition often uses words like could, might, feels right, and sense that. As you develop stronger self-trust, you'll find that you need less and less external validation to feel confident in your choices. You'll be able to receive feedback and input from others without automatically giving their opinions more weight than your own. You'll be able to consider different perspectives while still trusting your own judgment about what's right for you. This transformation from self-doubt to self-trust is one of the most liberating things you can do for yourself. When you trust yourself, you don't need to ask everyone else's opinion before making a decision. You don't need to seek permission to follow your dreams. You don't need to prove to others that your choices are right. You can move through the world with a quiet confidence that comes from knowing that whatever happens, you can trust yourself to handle it with grace and wisdom. When you understand that your energy is your success magnet, everything changes about how you approach creating the life you want. You begin to see that success isn't something you chase or force or demand from the universe. Instead, it's something you attract by becoming the kind of person who naturally draws those experiences to them. Your aligned energy becomes like a beacon, sending out a clear signal about who you are and what you're available to receive. This magnetism works because like attracts, like in the energetic realm. When your energy is aligned with confidence, abundance, and authentic self-expression, you naturally attract opportunities, people, and experiences that match those qualities. When your energy is scattered, fearful, or inauthentic, you tend to attract experiences that reflect those states back to you. This isn't about judgment or blame. It's simply how energy works. Understanding this principle gives you tremendous power to consciously create the life you want. Aligned energy has a quality of coherence that others can sense immediately. There's no contradiction between what you're thinking, feeling, saying, and doing. Your inner world and outer expression are in harmony, creating a clarity that's both attractive and trustworthy. People feel safe around this kind of energy because they know what they're getting. There's no hidden agenda, no pretense, no manipulation. This authenticity is magnetic because it's so rare in a world where many people are constantly performing or trying to be someone they're not. The magnetism of authentic presence goes beyond attracting external success. It also attracts deeper connections, more meaningful relationships, and experiences that truly fulfill you rather than just impressing others. When you're being authentically yourself, you attract people who appreciate you for who you really are, not for who you think you should be. You attract opportunities that align with your actual gifts and interests, not just what you think will lead to success. This magnetic quality develops naturally as you do the inner work of healing old wounds, releasing limiting beliefs, and cultivating self-love. You don't have to try to be magnetic, you just have to be authentic. You don't have to learn special techniques or practice complicated strategies. You simply have to become more and more yourself, and that authentic self naturally draws to you what belongs in your life. Working with universal flow rather than against it is a key aspect of energetic magnetism. When you're aligned with your authentic self and operating from love rather than fear, you find yourself moving with the current of life rather than swimming upstream. Opportunities seem to appear at just the right time. The right people show up when you need them. Resources become available exactly when you're ready to use them. This isn't magic, it's alignment. This flow state happens when you release the need to control every detail of how your success unfolds and instead focus on being the best version of yourself you can be. You set intentions and take inspired action, but you hold your goals lightly, trusting that the universe knows how to bring you what you need in ways that might be even better than what you originally imagined. Your energy as a success magnet also means that you stop repelling the very things you want by trying too hard to get them. Desperation, neediness, and attachment often push away the experiences we're trying to attract. When you cultivate an energy of sufficiency, gratitude, and openness, you create space for good things to come to you. You stop chasing and start receiving. This doesn't mean you become passive or stop taking action toward your goals. It means your actions come from inspiration and joy rather than fear and desperation. You work because you love what you're doing, not because you're terrified of what will happen if you don't. You pursue opportunities because they excite you, not because you think you have to grab them before they disappear. The beautiful thing about understanding your energy as your success magnet is that it makes the process of creating what you want much more enjoyable and sustainable. Instead of forcing and struggling and exhausting yourself, you get to focus on becoming the person you want to be and enjoying the journey of growth and discovery. Success becomes a natural byproduct of authentic self-expression rather than something you have to fight for. Having an understanding of energetic magnetism also helps you recognize when you're off track. If you're consistently attracting experiences that don't feel good or align with what you want, you can look at your energy and see what might need attention. Maybe you're operating from fear instead of love. Maybe you're trying to be someone you're not. Maybe you're holding on to old wounds that are affecting your vibration. This awareness gives you the power to make adjustments and realign with what you truly want to create. Creating a daily practice to strengthen your energetic presence is essential for succeeding in silence. These practices don't have to be complicated or time-consuming, but they do need to be consistent. Like tending a garden, small daily actions accumulate over time to create significant transformation in the quality of your energy and presence. One of the most powerful daily practices is starting each morning with a few moments of intentional connection to yourself. Before you check your phone, before you rush into the demands of the day, before you start thinking about what others need from you, take a few minutes to simply be with yourself. This might involve taking some deep breaths, setting an intention for the day, or simply noticing how you're feeling in your body. This morning practice helps you establish a connection to your authentic self that you can return to throughout the day. When you start from this centered place, you're more likely to make choices that align with your truth rather than just reacting to external demands. You're more likely to respond to challenges from a place of calm rather than getting swept away by drama or urgency. Creating quiet confidence rituals throughout your day helps you maintain your energetic alignment even when life gets busy or stressful. This might be as simple as taking 3 conscious breaths before entering a meeting, pausing to appreciate something beautiful on your way to work, or taking a moment to acknowledge something you're grateful for before eating a meal. These small pauses help you stay connected to the present moment and to your own inner state. They remind you that you have a choice in how you show up, regardless of what's happening around you. They help you maintain the kind of centered presence that speaks volumes without saying a word. Mirror work is one of the most transformative practices you can do to strengthen your relationship with yourself and improve your energetic presence. This involves looking at yourself in the mirror and speaking to yourself with love and appreciation rather than criticism and judgment. It might feel awkward at first, especially if you're used to focusing on what you don't like about your appearance, but this practice can heal decades of self-criticism. Start with something simple like looking in your eyes and saying, "I love you," or "I appreciate you." Notice what resistance comes up and be gentle with yourself as you work through it. Over time, you can expand this practice to include affirmations about your worth, your capabilities, your beauty, and your potential. The goal is to become your own best friend rather than your own worst critic. Self-reflection practices help you stay conscious of your energy and make adjustments as needed. This might involve journaling at the end of each day about how you felt, what challenges you faced, what went well, and what you learned. It might involve taking regular walks in nature where you can think and process without distractions. It might involve having honest conversations with trusted friends about your growth and challenges. The key is to create regular opportunities to check in with yourself and notice patterns in your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. This awareness gives you the power to make conscious choices about how you want to show up in the world. Without this self-awareness, we often just repeat the same patterns without realizing why we're getting the same results. Another powerful daily practice is setting energetic boundaries. This means being conscious of what kind of energy you allow into your space and what kind of energy you put out into the world. It might mean limiting your exposure to negative news or dramatic people. It might mean choosing to speak positively about yourself and others. It might mean taking breaks from social media or other activities that leave you feeling drained or anxious. Physical practices that help you feel strong and centered in your body also support your energetic presence. This might be yoga, walking, dancing, or any form of movement that helps you feel connected to your physical self. When you feel good in your body, it's easier to project confidence and authenticity. Finally, developing a practice of conscious appreciation helps you maintain an energy of abundance rather than scarcity. This means regularly noticing and acknowledging the good things in your life, no matter how small. It means celebrating your progress, even if it's not as fast as you'd like. It means finding something to appreciate about yourself each day, even when you're facing challenges. These daily practices work together to create a foundation of inner strength and authentic presence that supports you in succeeding in silence. They help you stay connected to who you really are, regardless of external circumstances. They help you maintain the kind of energy that naturally attracts what you need while repelling what doesn't serve you. Living your truth without explanation is perhaps the ultimate expression of succeeding in silence. It's the ability to make choices, follow your path, and express yourself authentically without needing to justify or defend your decisions to others. This doesn't mean being rude or dismissive of others' concerns, but rather having such a clear connection to your own inner guidance that you don't need everyone else to understand or approve of your choices. Moving through the world with quiet authority means carrying yourself with a dignity and confidence that comes from deep self-knowledge and self-acceptance. You don't need to announce your credentials or prove your worth to command respect. Your presence itself communicates your value. You speak when you have something meaningful to say, and you're comfortable with silence when you don't. You make decisions based on your own judgment while remaining open to input from others. This quiet authority isn't about being aloof or superior. It's about being so comfortable with who you are that you don't need to impress anyone or gain anyone's approval to feel good about yourself. You can engage fully with others while maintaining your own center. You can be warm and open while still maintaining healthy boundaries. Honoring your path without defending it requires a deep trust in your own judgment and timing. There will always be people who think you should be doing something different, moving faster, or making other choices. When you're secure in your own truth, you can hear these opinions without feeling threatened by them. You can consider whether there's any wisdom in what others are saying without automatically doubting yourself or feeling pressured to change course. This doesn't mean you should never explain your choices or share your reasoning with others. Sometimes explanation is helpful for building understanding or connection. But the key is that you're explaining because you choose to, not because you feel you have to prove that your choices are valid. Your choices are valid simply because they're yours and they feel right to you. The freedom that comes from internal validation is extraordinary. When you no longer need others to agree with your choices in order to feel confident about them, you have access to possibilities that might never have opened up if you were always seeking consensus. You can take creative risks, follow unconventional paths, and express yourself in ways that might not make sense to others, but feel perfectly aligned to you. This freedom also extends to how you handle criticism or disapproval. When someone disagrees with your choices or doesn't understand your path, you can receive their perspective without taking it personally. You understand that their opinion says more about their own experiences and limitations than it does about the validity of your choices. You can remain open to learning while not being swayed by every opinion that comes your way. Living your truth without explanation also means being comfortable with being misunderstood sometimes. Not everyone will get you, and that's okay. Not everyone needs to understand your choices for those choices to be right for you. This acceptance frees you from the exhausting task of trying to make everyone happy or trying to fit into everyone's expectations. The courage to live this way develops gradually as you build trust in yourself and experience the rewards of following your authentic path. Each time you honor your truth despite others' doubts and it leads to positive outcomes, your confidence grows. Each time you stay true to yourself in the face of pressure to conform and you maintain your integrity, you strengthen your ability to stand in your truth. This way of living requires you to develop a strong relationship with your intuition and inner guidance. You need to be able to distinguish between the voice of your authentic self and the voices of fear, conditioning, or other people's expectations. This discernment comes through practice and through the willingness to be honest with yourself about what you really want and what really feels right to you. As we come to the end of our time together today, I want you to take a moment to feel into everything we've explored. Feel into the possibility of moving through your life with such deep self-acceptance that you don't need to prove anything to anyone. Feel into the freedom of knowing that your energy speaks your truth more powerfully than any words ever could. Feel into the peace that comes from trusting yourself so completely that external validation becomes just a nice bonus rather than a necessity. You are so much more powerful than you realize. Your authentic presence, your genuine heart, your unique way of being in the world, these are gifts that the world needs. When you succeed in silence, when you let your energy speak, you give others permission to do the same. You become a beacon of authenticity in a world that often feels performed and artificial. Remember that this journey of succeeding in silence isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's about gradually learning to trust yourself more and need others' approval less. It's about slowly building the kind of inner strength that doesn't need to announce itself because it's so solid, so real, so genuine. You don't have to transform overnight. You don't have to have it all figured out before you start. You simply have to begin where you are, with what you have, and trust that each small step toward authenticity is valuable and meaningful. Every moment you choose love over fear, every time you listen to your inner wisdom instead of outer pressure, Every day you treat yourself with kindness and respect, you're succeeding in silence. Your energy is already speaking. It's been speaking your whole life. The question is whether it's speaking your truth or speaking your fears, your conditioning, your attempts to be what you think others want you to be. Today, right now, you can choose to align your energy with who you really are. You can choose to let your authentic self shine through in every interaction, every decision, every moment of your life. The world doesn't need another person trying to be someone they're not. The world needs you, exactly as you are, sharing your unique gifts in your own special way. Trust that you are enough. Trust that your path is valid. Trust that your dreams matter. Trust that your way of doing things has value. As you go forward from here, remember that succeeding in silence is not about being quiet for the sake of being quiet. It's about being so full, so complete, so authentically yourself that you don't need external noise to feel significant. Your very presence becomes your power. Your authenticity becomes your magnet. Your self-love becomes your success. May you walk forward with the quiet confidence of someone who knows their worth. May your energy speak love, truth, and authenticity into every space you enter. May you trust yourself so deeply that you no longer need the world to validate what you already know to be true about yourself. You are magnificent, you are worthy, and you are enough, exactly as you are.